crazy kooks. We put up a fan too long. Let's drop a bomb and prove that they were wrong.
Welcome to Conservative Parents with Liberal Kids. As I said children last week, and I screwed that all up. I'm with my co-host, Jason Ricardo. And Jason Ricardo does not have liberal kids, but is here to support me in my goal to convert my kids into conservatives.
Not necessarily to convert them, to love them.
Yeah, yes.
No matter how broken they are.
I will always love my children in spite of their manifest faults. And they don't listen to the show, I can say this.
Oh.
Now, why would they listen to my show?
Because I'm on it.
All right, I want to tell everybody out there what this show is about. We talk about politics. We talk about division. We talk about the differences in philosophies and ideologies. But it's not about those differences. It's about we're human beings, and we can love and respect each other in spite of those. And I know, and I hear it from a lot of people, I see it all over social media, about people losing friends and family over politics. And so, weeks ago, I had decided, on a whim, I was putting myself into my bed, and I was thinking about, I'm not ready to sleep yet, what can I do about this? And I just created a blog on Facebook out of nowhere, and I called it Conservative Parents with Liberal Kids. Did no promoting of it, didn't do anything with it. Just let it go, and the next morning I had like 100 followers.
But I was your first follower.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There you go.
Just because he already loved me for who I am.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
what this
not
show
the
is
star
about.
that you're becoming.
That's right.
I loved
been
you
there
despite
from
the
the
fault
It's not
of your
because you
children.
wanted to
Yes.
ride my coattails or anything.
No. He was there.
Actually,
with you
I'm
in the-
privileged to have you as my co-host because here's the reality. I'm more of a macro guy. He posts frequently about these topics, and he thinks about it more deeply than I do. I get very, I think it, I wouldn't say I think it on a superficial level, because I do get into the politics of it and into the policies of it and the ideology of it, but he's more detail-oriented. And I told him on the topic for today, I'm going to let him take the lead because he knows more than I do.
There you go.
And it takes a real man to admit that, though, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, Jason and I are both attorneys, and I'd like to start out the show letting everybody know that we have different types of practices. I'm going to tell the audience a little bit about mine, and then, Jason, you can follow.
Sure.
I have a sole practice. I've been practicing in my own practice for, I'm thinking it's almost 18 years now. Can't believe it, really.
That's crazy.
18 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday because I remember the moment I opened my office. But my practice is a general civil practice.
I was the first person to visit you at your new office.
Yes, you were, Jason, because you were running my coattails even way,
Way
back
back then.
then.
He knew what you were going to become.
But my practice opened up to be almost exclusively employment law and representing victims of discrimination in their employment. Over time, I started doing more commercial law, contract disputes. So it turned out to be mostly employment law with some of that going on. But lately, over the last year or so, I've been breaking out and doing other things, especially complex divorces. And I partnered up, and shout out to Brenda Baeto, who is like my partner on some of these complex divorce cases. As a team, we're knocking it out of the park. I mean, we're doing a really good job for our clients, and we're really proud of it. So if you got any kind of dispute whatsoever that's not criminal, come to me. If I can't do it, and if it's something like a foreclosure or a consumer rights case, you can go to Jason. I'll refer you on to Jason, and Jason's going to tell you a little bit about his law firm.
Sure. So Ricardo and Waslick is the firm that I have helped form with my partner Mike Waslick. We've been together since 2005, and now that's at 15 years of practicing solo together. And we are a consumer protection attorney law firm. We help people who are in both foreclosure and credit card disputes, and we help people get out of debt.
All right, so for my firm, you can look up Myers myersfirm.com. Actually, my website is completely under reconstruction, so you probably won't even get it now. But you can reach me at rmyers, and that's MEYERS, at myersfirm.com. You can look me up on Facebook. I have a Facebook page for the Myers Firm. And how can they get in touch with you, Jason?
The website is ricardolaw.com or jason at ricardolaw.com.
Fabulous. Okay, so we're going to talk today about educating those who are thinking like Serge, that there's no difference between absentee ballots
And universal
and universal
voting.
Yes. And Jason, having studied this issue, I'm
Well,
throwing him. I'm going to get him started.
You certainly are.
Actually, I have my
unprepared.
opinions. I'm going to just chime in with, but let me just set the table, I guess.
Sure.
As the host.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
You are the host.
All right. There is no equivalence. I'll start out that way between absentee ballots and universal mail-in. Okay. Absentee ballots require the person that's a registered voter to verify that they're a registered voter before they get their ballot to vote. It needs to be basically matched with the roll, the voter roll. So your vote is basically predetermined to be valid. Is the way to look at it. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you do a universal mailing, for those who are on the rolls and they mail it out to people who just have your addresses, we talked about this before the show. Ballots can go to people who have moved and haven't put in forwarding addresses. So maybe you're at a residence and suddenly you get several ballots to your house. What prevents that person from sending that in multiple times? Okay, and so it then becomes more difficult for the supervisor of elections to make sure that they're not repeated. You know, it just opens the door to this fraud. And yeah, you can say it's in theory and whatnot, but we have actual cases now because there are some jurisdictions that have relied on mail-in voting.
Yeah.
Okay, which has been discovered to be a systemic problem, and votes took weeks, if not months, to actually be properly tallied to get a result. So we have a question regarding a national election when you're talking about tens of hundreds of millions of votes, having it be handled in a manner in which, in a close election, where we're not tipping the scale just based on local officials deciding what to do with mail-ins and potential fraud. We know that CBS did a recent study, right? And that's not a right-leaning entity, as we know.
Really?
Not?
No.
Okay. And Jason, why don't you take it from there?
Sure. So a couple things. When we have absentee voting, we have people who say, I want to vote. Where can I cast my vote? I'm not going to be around on November the 3rd, so I want to do something. Give me a ballot. And then the response to that is a mail-in ballot that you receive in the mail in a certain timely fashion. You complete, you follow the certain requirements that are on that ballot. You usually have to sign your name in a certain location, and then you mail it back, and it needs to be received back in a certain time for it to be counted. Universal mail-in voting, as you explained, but I'll try to be, is essentially a shotgun mail-out to every person on the voter rolls. And why that's significant is that you're giving ballots to people who may not even want to vote. And not only does that run the risk of fraud, but it runs the risk of veracity and verification. Because if one thing I was reading recently, that if someone hasn't sent in a forwarding address, literally apartment complexes are receiving multiples. And the examples that we got, there are two. First is the New Jersey mail-in ballot, which for most recent primary, something like several million ballots went missing in the mail. And that was because they were just shotgunned out and they didn't receive them back, and they had a hard time counting the vote and verifying that it was accurate. The next thing is the CBS study that we talked about. CBS in Philadelphia sent out 100 ballots across the various Philadelphia districts, and only 97 of them got returned. So even though CBS mailed back 100 ballots, the post office only registered receiving 97 of them, which is a 3% error problem. And a 3% error rate across the board, if that were to happen, more or less
scale,
on a national level,
can tip the election.
Not only tip the election, it would. It's more than just that, someone might benefit from that. I mean, I would hate to
It'll be
say
the doubt.
I wouldn't want either Trump or Biden to benefit from that. The bigger concern is the credibility that it creates and the havoc that it wreaks on the system when we don't have a certain vote. There's always an error system. There's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be people who don't get counted. There's always going to be that one person that got disenfranchised. But if we said across the board, in addition to all those other votes that are disenfranchised, we're going to add another 3%, we're going to have a discredited election no matter who's elected.
And you can imagine in our society today, when we have a contested election result, that we're going to have it in the court system as well forever.
Right.
We'd be lucky to have a decision by inauguration.
It would make 2000.
I think about whoever would be the
It would make the 2000 Hanging Chad fiasco look
Right.
like a bump in the road. I mean, it would be awful.
And so I want to dispel a notion, because this is what we hear on the press all the time. Left or right, actually. They conflate it all the time, where there's no difference between absentee ballots being mailed in versus the universal mailing system. So we need a foil here, because we got two conservatives on the show.
Well, I'm just saying, what's stopping from me saying, hey, I'm you and I need an absentee ballot, send it to this address?
Great question. Sure. The reality is that you can say that, but in order to get that, they need to confirm who you are. I think I could be wrong about this, but you don't pick up the phone and call
No,
the
well, I
supervisor
read
of
what you
election.
have to do,
I think
yeah.
you have to do
Yeah.
something specific. I don't know if it's going there
No,
or
well,
requesting
what I
by
s-
mail.
yeah.
But you have to follow, and they have to confirm it's you. One of the things, and I was mentioning this earlier, I kind of glossed over it because I didn't want to get into the nitty gritty, but when you do an absentee ballot, you literally have to sign your name in across the envelope fold of it. Okay, so that's to ensure that there's no tampering. But they cross-check that signature to what else is on file, which is the motor voter logs that we're very familiar with. We did the motor voter. So your signature that's on file with the motor
DMV.
vehicle or DMV is the signature that they're cross-checking when you send it. And if you were to send it and you look like you signed it like you were a left-handed 3-year-old, then they're going to discredit it and just going to toss it out. And there's other requirements when you do mail-in voting. It has to be mailed by a certain date. You can't mail it on the day of the election. And there's some questions that if we just had a universal mail-in voting and we were like, oh, well, all these people are disenfranchised, the concern is that there's going to be a movement at some point to say, well, mistakes were made. We need to be able to open up the deadline for when those votes are returned. And we can let it be until not just the 3rd, but until maybe November 7th or November 10th. And all of a sudden, all these delayed and untimely votes are being counted as timely votes when they're not, in fact, timely. And that's a concern.
That's
the question becomes,
because there are laws on the books for each state that dictate that a vote shall not count past a certain date.
That's
Yeah.
right. It needs to be
And
received.
so, what do you do when you set up a system which was meant for the persons who are voting to comply with the dates, but through the mail system it got fouled up? Do you disenfranchise them? And you know there's going to be litigation
Well, that's already
out the
what's happening.
wazoo about counting those votes, right?
It's already happening.
Yeah. So, is it good for our democracy? Is it good just for our country to have that thrown into any doubt? We're so proud as a nation to be able to have Definity at the time of election and to transfer power that's peaceful.
Well, and then
Right,
there's the
so-
question of what is driving this. We obviously know what is driving
Although there'll
this.
be no transfer of power this year, right, Jason?
You mean next year? In January?
Oh, in January.
Just
Yes,
so
yes,
you're
right,
clear.
right, right.
Yeah. So one of the things that's really important to remember here is that what is causing this is a political opportunity. The COVID pandemic has created this concern of, oh my gosh, people just can't possibly want to go to the polls because they can't stand 6 feet apart and 3-mile-long lines to vote. And so therefore, we just need to vote by mail. And that's a good point. I don't.
Many people who are
I mean,
that worried.
Me, I'm putting on my mask and I'm going to stand in line.
Yeah, me too.
But if you truly are one of those people that cannot leave the house because you are so afraid of the COVID, and you are also wanting to elect the next president of the United States, then you are going to be cognizant enough to follow through with the instructions of your supervisor of elections, because I'm sorry, there's PSAs all over the place to tell you how. You can go online to figure out how to do it. You can call your supervisor of election to find out. If you are interested in voting in that fashion, there's a way to do it. We've been doing absentee ballots for decades, and successfully, mind you. So there's a way to do it. Absentee ballots are fine. If you are in a nursing home and you don't want to get out and vote, or you can't get out and vote, or you're unable to vote,
Do you note that there's a difference between the parties about allowing universal mail-in, Jason?
What a loaded question. I haven't given it any thought.
That wasn't about show prep.
Let's think. Let's think. No, I personally think, I'm happy to talk about procedure and the boring part of it, but I think the real meat of the matter is that we have one particular party, which shall remain unnamed, that is enjoying the chaos that is being caused by the situation. This same party, which is so absolutely certain that it is impossible to go and vote in person, are the same people who are giving a pass to all these live in-person protests to protest the need for mail-in voting. It's like really nonsense.
Right.
I'm sorry. Nonsense isn't a very polite word. Let me use a more scientific word.
But you didn't identify which party.
It's hypocrisy.
So it's okay.
Oh, that's right.
You kept them secret because we don't know what side you're on. So here we have on the press every day. I'm pointing towards a TV that's in this room.
Okay.
Hey, I'm online.
As indicating I'm talking to the press.
All right.
The mainstream media, who will constantly drive a narrative when they're supposed to be neutral reporting, like just reporting facts, that there is no essential difference between the mail-in and the absentee ballots, and also saying, oh my God, how can you take the vote away from somebody that's concerned about getting COVID on the day of the vote, on election day? But yet, as Jason was just saying, they'll drive the narrative 23 hours out of the 24 about the people have to have a voice, and the only way to have a voice and effectuate change is by having mass protests.
Oh yeah, sure.
In the streets in these cities that are having these. By all means, they got to get the message out. What other way to do it? But at the same time, they don't want those people to be online on election day in a line, in a physical line, waiting to cast their vote. And it's just, to me, it's on its face hypocritical.
They both do it.
Give me an example of the other side doing it when it comes to voting.
By the way, one of my biggest pet peeves is
Come on, Serge.
they're both
I'm
guilty
you.
of that.
They're both guilty.
I hate that. That really makes me nuts. Love it. I'm happy to address any hypocrisy. Let's
on the
hear it.
right.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, let me just say, Donald Trump has completely mangled this issue, as he does oftentimes.
It was an
with his
opportunity
tweets.
loss, as we say.
He's
Too often.
He loves to put his foot in his mouth, and he's so aggressive that he gets ahead of himself, and then he's got to let his surrogates explain.
Well, tell us how he screwed this one up, Jason.
Dramatic pause.
Tongue bitten. Let's see. Trump has really messed this up because he's making this into a fraud issue, and he starts blaming the United States Postal Service for its many woes over the last several years. Since the advent of email, the Postal Service has lost billions of dollars. I think just this year alone, it's lost several billion in the last quarter or something like that. But the post office is not losing money because it can't handle the mail. It's losing money because there isn't any mail. And the new postmaster, which has been appointed, is making changes to do two things. He's trying to speed up the delivery, and he's also trying to reduce overtime. And by doing that, he's doing some functional things internally. We don't need to get into those details.
Well, talk just real briefly about his background and why he's qualified to do this. Because people are saying like he's a nobody coming in.
Right. So the new Postmaster General of the United States, he's being completely blasted because he's a Republican donor. And it's true. He donated to the Trump campaign, and he was, in fact, put into office because of he was put into office, and he is a Republican supporter. But Trump selected him because he is a shipping expert. He's a CEO of a former trucking company that knows how to deliver items on time. And so he's instituting new, very interesting procedures. He is removing the vast majority of that's a mistake. He is removing some of the letter sorting machines, which are taking up space in the various postal centers. And the reason why he's removing them is because back when the when the letter sorting machines were created and put into place, the Postal Service was doing mostly letter service. But now letter services have gone by the way of the dodo because of the email, because of the World Wide Web. And and instead it's now packaged. Yeah, the intro. And now it's all packages because they're doing a lot of work for Amazon and the other shipping companies. And because of that, they don't have the capacity because all these letter sorting machines are actually in the way. So he's actually removing them, and he's trying to make the post office more efficient. Democrats are trying to suggest that somehow this is going to prevent retirees from being able to get their Social Security checks, which is a lie, because the vast majority of Social Security recipients receive their check
Still
every month electronically by electronic debit into their bank account.
So they're creating a straw man argument again.
As typical.
Okay.
Yeah, they're experts at that. Sure.
Right, Serge is an expert at it.
No, he's not.
Excuse me, what?
I'm just trying to get you involved, man.
I'm trying to get more information on the Postmaster.
Yeah, see, he's looking him up.
He's perusing the web now.
I think his last name is DeJoy. I think it's DeJoy.
Oh, of the Postmaster General now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it DeJoy? Was that right?
Yeah, Luis.
All right, so what we see, I guess to kind of meld it into the theme of this program, because I note, for the most part, the younger people, those of us who are parents of younger children who are becoming adults, are digesting the news not from the sources that we get our news from, but from what we label as the mainstream media, which is the CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, right? Okay, which are conflating the issue, first of all, that we discussed about absentee ballots and mail-in ballots, but also are misconstruing or purposely mischaracterizing the role of this Postmaster General and what he's trying to do. He's not trying to interfere with an election. He's just trying to make the Postal Service better, right?
The timing is just horrible.
No. Do you know that, like, during the I think like the Obama administration removed like 150,000 mailboxes during his administration? It had nothing to do with that. First of all, the Post Office or the Postal Service is an independent agency from the United States government. Trump doesn't have any power over the USPS. They're quasi-independent. They receive money from the government. They are a government operation, but they are not.
Amtrak?
They're not like the military. Yeah, they're probably more like Amtrak, but they're not like the U.S. Army. They don't get all their funding from us. They're supposed to be independently funded. That's the first thing. Second thing, oh my God, there's a million things. What's probably most important to remember is that the issue that we're talking about came about because of the Democrats passing in the HEROES Act, which is they passed a couple months ago for their second phase of the COVID relief, which is $3 trillion. Within that was a $30 billion bailout to the post office and an additional $3.5 billion bailout for $3.5 billion allocation for the 2020 election. That 3.5 is not designated to the U.S. Postal Service. It's designated to the states to ensure that they are prepared for the vote coming up in 2020. What's interesting is that in their first round, that the Democrats didn't raise that $30 or $25 billion.
Can I ask a separate question first?
Yeah, absolutely, please.
All right. So this is in a COVID relief bill.
This is all COVID relief. This isn't about the post office. This is all about COVID.
Right. So what's the direct relation that is being proffered by the Democrats?
That's where Trump goes off the rails. Trump is completely correct when he says this money has nothing to do with the COVID relief. The $25 billion, it's actually a bailout for the Postal Service related to pension deficits that they're having with their workers, which has nothing to do with the COVID. It has to do with the many years of mismanagement of the Postal Service. So when Pelosi gets up there and she says, "Oh my gosh, Trump is trying to defund the Postal Service," it's just not true. Pardon me.
He's alive.
I am alive and well. What was the next point I was going to try to make? All these memes you're seeing on. I have a cousin who's he actually lives locally, and I love him, but he's way off on this one. He's posted this meme on Facebook the other day with Donald Trump taking a dump in a postal receptacle, one of those blue mailboxes.
Right. Okay.
He's like, "Oh, look, Trump's voting," and it's hilarious.
It's kind of funny though, right?
It's hilarious, but and then he goes on and he talks about how Trump's trying to steal the election by shitting on the mail or whatever.
Right.
That's so wrong that it's not even funny. I mean, so much mail doesn't even go into public receptacles. I mean, they literally go into your mailbox.
I'm going to ask you a larger issue question. How much is the fault of the press, or the mainstream media, is it that the average voter doesn't delve into any details? They just listen to it and buy it.
Yeah,
I mean, where's the responsibility lie?
That's
Does
a really
it
good
lie
point.
with the voter or the press?
So there's two things that are the younger generation is dealing with. We're dealing with it, but we have different methods of obtaining our news, newspapers, reading articles. But so much of our younger generations are gaining their information from YouTube and TikTok and other weird ways. Well, TikTok's a 45-second little spoof. So, I mean, what are you getting with that kind of information? I think what they're being spoon-fed is snippets of headlines, and they're not getting information. They're not diving deep into.
But they believe it to be all the information they need to make these critical decisions. They're so wedded to that's the fact without going in. That's what I get upset about about the conservative parents of liberal kids, because I know I'm not the only one. They get feedback from the kids like, this is a fact, and you say, have you thought about X, Y, and Z behind it? And they're like, I don't need to because I already know what the fact is.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, you don't know. You're like, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
You don't have all the facts there.
Right.
That's the concern. They don't get all the facts. They're trusting people. So there's the celebrity factor. Well, so and so said so it must be true. But they've done a really good job, and we were talking about this before, and the left has done a phenomenal job of demonizing their opponents. When you demonize your opponent, when you delegitimize your opponent, when you can equate that, when you equate that opponent of yours with evil, it doesn't matter what they say. So what they have to do is call you a racist first, or a feminist, or a homophobe, or whatever word they're looking at this particular news cycle. And if you are that, it doesn't matter that you're making sense about the post office because you're a liar. You're a brown shirt.
You're an evildoer.
Yeah, you're Hitler.
Right.
And therefore I need to kill you. And it goes from, whoa, I just want to have a conversation.
All right. You shared a story. I don't want to share the details of it, but this is off the air. Because we all have this experience, which is where you're maybe in a social gathering with people that think differently than you, and you're having a good time because you're not talking politics. And you can spend time, a long time. It could be family even, right? And you're spending a long time having a great time, and then the moment it gets to a subject that's polarized,
Verboten, yeah.
Right? Then it didn't matter that you were bonding earlier. Now you're again marginalized and demonized, and you're unworthy of even being spoken to. Yeah. It's like you just got to call it. Either you de-escalate it immediately and say we're not going to talk about it, or you're just going to be unfriended, right? Like in real life or on social media.
Or you have to have a really hard conversation.
And again, I want to drive it back to the theme of the show, which is I want everybody out there that's been in those moments. It's like, step back from it, dude. Like
really not that serious.
It's really not that serious. I mean, I still have a tremendous amount of faith in our nation as a whole. We're going to be probably for a period of time, maybe another generation, where we're going to be polarized. But at some point, it just, everything comes and goes in waves in life. So we're at maybe a moment where we're getting so polarized. At some point, we're going to be very unified.
Well,
hopefully, it won't take like a 9/11
when the
thing.
aliens come.
Yeah, right.
But
real aliens, because we know now they exist, because
Yeah.
it's been proven now. Okay.
Now they're
well,
saying it.
now that the Pentagon says so.
Yeah, right.
All right. So, two things. I don't want to use the exact example because we've all heard it from
Right.
our side, so I'm not going to use that. But it would be the equivalent of saying you like seeing puppies drown in rivers. You know, and, like, well, first of all,
You're a monster.
Maybe I do
Right.
like seeing puppies drown in rivers. What does that have to do with the post office?
Right. Maybe that's true.
No,
How do you
and
think
actually,
they get
but
to
stick
the
to the
No,
facts of our
but
conversation.
Stick to the facts. We're talking about the post office and efficiency. No, I'm teasing.
Right.
No, nobody wants that. But if you accuse me
Nobody
of that, I'm
wants
going to
to
be
see
like, I'm
puppies
going to
drown.
fight you. I'm like, no. I love puppies, and I
Right,
don't
right.
want them to drown, and I want to
Nobody
pet them,
wants
and
puppies to
I
drown.
might even want to. I mean, but all of a sudden, but could you be? But if you literally thought the person across the table from you actually enjoyed watching puppies drown in a river, how can you be friends with them? And that is the similar situation that
Right.
you have with certain individuals in your family, and I have with some of my friends. Like, once you get to that one topic, the puppy drowning topic,
Right.
all bets are off. You're a hater. How can you possibly vote for someone who likes to watch puppies
Well,
drown
I
in a
can't.
river?
I can't.
When Trump got elected, I got a text message from
Watermelons.
one of my progeny, and it was, "Did you vote for the 5-letter
Yeah.
president?"
The puppy killer.
Yeah, right. And
Puppy drowner.
and I said, of course I did, but it wasn't necessary. And back then, this is funny because back then, and maybe you'll relate to this a little bit, because back then it wasn't a pro-Trump vote for me. It was I can't vote for the other guy.
Exactly.
And during the
I was a Ted Cruz guy, so yeah.
yeah, I was a Ted Cruz guy too. Okay, so I didn't want to vote for Trump, but there's still, in my view, no
By the way,
contest.
Ted
with
Cruz is
anyone
worse than Trump. There are people out there going,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, he wants to murder puppies and cats,
Right.
and the squirrels, all the
all
squirrels."
the pretty big eyed pets.
But I get this text message from that particular progeny of mine, and said, "Did you vote for?" And I said, "I did." And he goes, "Do you realize he wants me dead?" And I went, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, half Asian." I said, "Yeah, can you tell me why he wants you dead?"
More info, please.
He's like, right, well, because he's racist and he's just a white supremacist and he doesn't want anyone but himself.
But was he trying to
Kind of
climb
like-
over a wall?
and I'm like-
no. All right. So
So I'm like, so already, even before he had even taken office, right, the narrative was out there.
sure.
Okay. And so this is the battleground that's been going on for 3.5 years since. And it's so amazing to me because for those of you out there that are just tuning in maybe the first time or just real recently, my children are a product of a biracial marriage, and I've devoted most of my legal career to representing victims of discrimination. Nonetheless, the children of a biracial marriage who know their dad represents victims of discrimination is a racist for having a conservative philosophy and voting for Trump, right? So I still love my children, and I'll never intentionally try to engage them in a debate because I know it's going to get inflamed. And that's the society we're in today. It's so polarized that even
Yeah,
your
really.
children are leaving parents. But I still have this fervent belief that over time it's gonna swing the other direction, where we're gonna see more in common and not see this time where we're petty and this identity politics stuff that's been playing every day is gonna seem silly to people.
Yeah.
But now we're mired in it because it's like, again, it's this wave. Like you gotta go with the wave until it kind of shifts in a different direction. I know you have an experience in personally.
Oh,
in your-
I wouldn't dare
Yeah.
try to say
Okay.
my experience is common to others. I mean, I think I'm actually lucky, but I only have 2 children I know are close to adult age who I feel confident in their political positions, and probably a third I could probably guess. but there are more to come. So I mean, I don't know. So I'm not suggesting. Oh, well, you've done anything. I think there's a couple things. We have first world problems here because we haven't fought an external, not exterior. We're not painting houses. An external fight. We haven't had a World War II that has created a unity. We haven't fought another entity that created strife, as in Vietnam. So we had World War II. Korea was probably testing the bounds of that unity. Then Vietnam really broke it. We came back together in Gulf War I, but Gulf War II almost broke us because of some very bad intelligence issues. And now here we are. We've got really nothing to worry about. We're the only superpower. There's only one country in the world that challenges us.
China.
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 China. China. Two very strong syllables, right? China.
China.
But it is still, virus or not, China is a really big issue for us. And yet we don't see it as an external fight yet. And maybe someday when we do, we'll come back and unite over the big issues. But right now, since we've got nothing else to fight about, we're fighting about the little things. And now it includes the post office.
Yeah, so I just wonder when, I guess that's the question I have, is when we're going to get out of this morass. Because every day we wake up and we see cities on fire. And we can go into, maybe we can dovetail into that a little bit because it is related. In my view, Serge, I'm trying to get you more involved in the show.
What?
So you see, I don't know whether you watch the news like we watch the news. I don't know whether you digest.
No, I stopped watching
news.
news because I found myself getting upset too soon,
All right,
too
that's good.
early.
Okay.
And I'm like,
No, that's a great segue.
Yeah,
okay.
I would love to explore that. So you stopped watching news. When you say you stopped watching the news, which news did you stop watching?
well, I'm one of those few people. I like to watch all of them because they all tell lies. They all have their own agendas. They're
Sure.
all going to tell their perspective. So I read a little bit. I watch a little bit of all of them because you're going to be right on some stuff. I totally agree with you. You're going to be right on some stuff. I totally agree with. They're going to be right. So I just take the stuff that I'm like, okay, you can tell what's the talking points, and you can tell what's
Talking
the actual
points.
facts.
Exactly.
So I look for the facts and everything, and ignore the talking points because the talking points are all like, oh, it's red this, blue that.
You sound so reasonable,
I try to be.
but you rarely agree with me. That makes you unreasonable.
That means I'm
Therefore, I hate you.
That means I'm a racist.
Therefore,
You are a racist.
No, wait, you're
go
the
F
racist.
yourself,
You're
sir.
the racist. No, I'm not the racist.
I hate you. I'm a racist.
No, but I just
Therefore.
I think it's like you said, it's gone too far down this. Like we have to be arguing all the time.
We were having this conversation before coming on air, and what's so interesting is like I remember when I was in school, having college and having disagreements, deep philosophical disagreements. Yeah, sure, there might have been a little beer involved, but there were disagreements. But I don't remember hating anybody at the end of that conversation.
right,
And
right,
the problem
that's
is
the point.
now that when you disagree with someone, you get unfriended. I've been unfriended by more people,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Where'd you go? What did I say?"
Let me
Well,
tell you
because
why
I-
that happens.
Sure,
Because it's a lot easier for me to disagree with you and unfriend you when I can't look you in the face. Back when you were
Yeah.
in school, we would argue, but at the end of the day, you're still my homie, and I'm looking at you in the face, and I
Right.
can tell that you really. Now I don't have to see you. I can
That
just
is
be, oh,
pheno-
you're racist.
Right.
You're
That
a
is a
great crap.
phenomenal
That's a
point.
great
Yeah,
point.
no,
that is a
it's
phenomenal
'cause it's-
point.
that's-
That's right on.
yeah.
Because how easy is it to just go through the scroll through unfriend?
Boom. I don't even got to talk to you.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's too easy.
this
That's
is it's
right
a
on.
separate
Yeah.
subject, but I like to dovetail on it just for a moment. Okay, there's a huge segment of our population that believes that social media is real life.
Sure.
They believe it to be an integral. It's like part of their
It's part of
DNA
your
of their
life.
life.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's going to be a way of promoting my law firm, but I don't mean it to be.
No, go
but in
ahead.
my practice,
Shameless promotion. Let's go.
I had several years ago represented a victim of sex discrimination. Was harassed at work in a restaurant job, and she was 22 at the time. And as part of my contracts on those kind of cases, I ask my client either to agree, check a box, that they will give me their password to their social media, or they will carte blanche when I see something that's a public consumption, if I see something that is against, an image, like I don't want to cite a too specific of an example, but you're talking about someone that's 22 years old. They may have been in the beach wearing a skimpy bikini
Absolutely.
and doing body shots or something, like tequila out of the belly button. Like, no, you don't need to portray that image.
That sounds disgusting.
Now it does. Not because of the Rona.
Okay.
Now it
Because
does.
of the Rona.
But anyway, I mean, the point is, like, you got to scrub that.
Yeah.
From your
Does the
social
tequila
media.
kill the
you don't wanna
Rona
be
or
able
not?
to
No.
have
Right. I mean,
them-
you can't say your boss wasn't, treating you. Well, you can. It really shouldn't be connected together, but we know juries do conflict.
Yeah.
You want a jury ultimately to be sympathetic to you, so they have to agree to that. Where I get to scrub it. So, this particular client hires me. I go on their Facebook, see crap ton of pictures, inappropriate, probably a couple hundred, really. So I sent her a message about this picture needs to come down, like all these pictures need to come down. And she did it, to her regret. Okay. So now we're progressing with the case. It's going well. Had taken depositions, and I'm convincing the other side they're going to have to part with some money to get this case settled,
Yeah,
right?
really.
And I suddenly see a picture,
Oh, she posted something new.
like something very compromising of her that is enough to get not deleted from
Yeah.
Facebook, but like, wow. Like, all right.
Yeah, Aunt Edna's never going to vote
So
for
I
her on
text
the
her and I
jury.
said,
No.
you need to take that picture down. Like immediately, as soon as I saw it. And she writes back, no one will tell me how to live my life.
Okay.
And then you.
So I said, I'm not telling you how to live your life. I said, go ahead and party like you're partying. I don't care. Like just do whatever you want to do in your personal life. Don't post it.
Yeah, if you want to win,
Right. So she says, again, I'm telling you quite clearly, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. It's my life.
She was paying you hourly, right?
No. No, so you take a case worth X and it becomes 1/10 X
yeah,
because of that crap.
exactly.
Okay. So, but the overriding point I'm making, like,
You were going
the
to say
big
that she
segue.
deserved to be sexually harassed.
No.
I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Hey,
That's
hey,
what I
hey,
heard.
hey,
All
no,
right.
no, it's not.
E.F. Hutton.
I'm just saying
All
that we live in our consumption of news today, like you were talking about, like where people get their news. In her view, that was reality, right? Whatever she posts is the reality, and I'm trying to tell them, no, what you live is reality. What you post is an
Can
image,
be used against you.
right? It's an image what people will perceive of you, right? So there's the difference between perception and reality. But there's a whole generation of people now who've been living on Facebook, even
Yeah.
before that, with MySpace and whatnot. Okay, that's their reality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I don't
can't
think
distinguish between
I
the
don't
two.
think today's youth appreciates how their personal life can affect their professional life.
Yeah.
Because once upon a time that never happened. That was impossible.
Right.
I mean, it's actually one of the reasons why I actually don't have any clients as friends of mine on my Facebook page. Not because I don't want to converse with them, and not that I even care what they know what my children's names are, perhaps. But it's none of their business. I have a business relationship with those individuals. My personal life and where I went camping this weekend has nothing to do with any of that business relationship, and there's just no need to put that into play. We need to keep that separate. But our youth don't realize that our employers now and other people who care about employing or using our youth, they're going to go back and they want carte blanche.
How easy it is to go see it too.
You say one wrong word, one wrong opinion, and it will affect you for the rest of
and
your
it
life.
works both ways, because we're living in a cancel culture. But from an employer's perspective, we can cancel you out as a candidate
Sure.
that easily as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and you would never know why, right? Like you're going in for an interview. I wowed them, and then they go, okay, this person wowed us. Let's see what's on their social media. Not our image.
Yeah, we saw you in Stone Mountain. You're not welcome here.
Speaking of images, I used to wear purple shirts at a law firm.
Oh, yes, you did.
Jason and I met many years ago at a law firm. Will remain unnamed, right?
It will still remain unnamed.
Unnamed. Okay. But it was a law firm who had a conservative philosophy when it comes to
Insurance
representing
defense work.
Insurance defense work.
Yeah.
And so I had come from a plaintiff's firm to join them before I had.
Which is why you had purple shirts.
And so I used to wear pastel-colored shirts. This is a good segue.
You and these shirts.
You got to listen
You
to
and
this,
these
sir.
pastel-
You would
they
really
were-
appreciate the
These are
story
these
because
bright pink shirts.
there's a great ending to the story, really. So, unbeknownst to me, that I was being surveilled, I guess, in a way.
Probably.
Yeah.
Big brother at the firm.
I mean, how can they miss you?
So,
But the purple shirt,
One day-
you can't miss them.
All white shirts, one purple? Yeah.
Yeah,
Easy.
right.
They're not
One-
surveilling you. They just can't help but not notice you.
no, but I would get
Blue pinstripes
No,
here.
no. But
Blue
you understand,
pinstripes,
I was
yeah.
being surveilled. I'd be like, we noticed. There's another story that's related to this
Okay.
that I know I was being surveilled. To be honest with you. So, but anyway, when it comes to the purple shirts, I come into work one day and I'm wearing it, and my
Now, by purple shirts, do you mean the fantasy football team? Or are you talking
yeah.
about
So
your
you know
actual
the story. I
physical-
told this story before.
Yes.
Did I tell it on this show?
Yes, you told it
Yeah,
on
we
this
talked
show.
about the purple shirts. We didn't talk much
Okay.
more, but we did talk about
Okay.
the purple shirts.
'Cause that was
Did I
hilarious.
tell you about the overcoat? Then I'll go into
Yeah,
that.
we talked
about
Okay,
the
God
overcoat.
damn it! I gotta stop drinking.
Yeah, you do.
You have to stop swearing.
I remember the purple shirts. Purple shirts was hilarious, by the way.
Did I swear?
No. I didn't hear you swear.
No, I didn't hear anything.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
Just cautioning.
Okay. Don't go there. Okay. Because there are some conservative listeners.
There are.
Oh, there's no
What?
liberal listeners. You've turned
No,
them
no,
all off. They
right,
turned
right.
off all. They were like,
you did that.
we're talking about the
I
post
didn't do
office?
that.
Click.
I'm all about love and respect, remember?
I thought it was all about
Yes.
naked girls and marijuana. Click.
Well, we could.
No. It's not.
We could. Okay, we could do the Naked Girls and Marijuana 15-minute.
I have to go to the restroom. I'll be back in about 30 minutes.
Oh, my God.
All right, Jason.
Sir.
All right, so we're coming up on the 1 hour mark.
Good.
So give me another shout out to your law firm. Tell me about it.
Ricardo and Waslick. We're located in Dade City, Florida. We handle cases all over the state and handle mostly foreclosure defense and credit card litigation disputes.
What would be your ideal referral? Like, so there are lawyers or other professionals listening into the show. How
Sure.
can they get you business?
So, people who are having hard times financially, they're either coming to an end of their forbearance on their mortgage. If they've been affected by the COVID pandemic, they need to call us because they're about to get into some really tight opportunities and they need to act quickly and timely. Our next best client are those people who have been sued by what we call third-party debt collectors like Midland Funding, Portfolio Recovery, and small claims debt collectors. We have a method to get those claims resolved very affordably.
Yeah, now, as you say affordably, because I know that you have a fee structure, if you will, with your clients that make it almost a no-brainer to be hired, right?
It is a
Do you want to
no-brainer.
share that? Do you want to share that at all?
We don't usually discuss that
Okay.
openly because I want to discuss
Okay.
there is a guarantee essentially
Okay.
for certain debt collectors. We have a set guaranteed fee that if we're not able to get your case completely dismissed, we will refund your money.
And that's spectacular. That's not common, and I think that's a great public service, to be honest with you.
We're happy to provide
Okay.
it. Most of our clients end up very happy. I have one particular debt collector. My clients have never paid a dime.
Fabulous. Okay, so look up Ricardo and Waslick.
Ricardo and
If you're-
Waslick, yeah? Or ricardolaw.com.
Yeah. Learn more about them because they're awesome. My law firm is the Myers Firm, PA. If you try to look me up right now, I got my website's down because it's under construction, so it's a little bit embarrassing to mention that. But you can reach me by rmyers@myersfirm.com, and it's MEYERS. You can look up on Facebook. I have a page, Myers Firm, PA. It has a picture of my business card, I think, on there is to know that you're on the right track. You can even set appointments on my Facebook page. I've done that a few times. Give me a call if you have any kind of legal dispute that is of civil nature, even those that Jason handles. I'm not going to handle it. I'll refer you to Jason.
Happy to take them.
If you haven't heard Jason's promotion, you come to me and I'll get it to Jason.
There you go.
Okay. But I have been practicing nearly 30 years, so I know a boatload of lawyers in various disciplines. So you come to me, and if I don't take your case. I'll get you to a person or persons or the lawyers that definitely can handle it. Again, it's Richard Myers at the Myers Firm PA, Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I rarely
Really?
Instagram.
You?
But I have Instagram.
I'm excited.
Gator Attorney. That's G8TRATTY on Instagram. Look me up there. And I have
for the spelling impaired. They
right. G8TR. That's Gator. ATTY for attorney. Kind of convoluted, but I'm a University of Florida grad. Go Gators. Jason is a Seminole, by the way.
Oh,
all true.
Right. And a Billiken.
And a Billiken. How do you remember?
Well, tell our audience about
So
Billiken.
what? A Billiken? I mean, my wife called them the Pelicans just because she thinks
No,
it's
the
hilarious.
Billikens. What's a
The
Billiken?
Billikens. A Billiken. Oh my goodness. A Billiken is a. Good Lord.
Well, first of all, what university is that?
St. Louis University, and a Billiken is like the Eskimo god of good luck or something.
So when did you attend there? As an undergrad?
88 to 92.
Okay, that was your undergrad.
Yeah,
So Florida State was your law school.
law school.
Okay, now were you a Florida State enthusiast while you were a Billiken?
No, I had I'd never watched a college football game before I'd gone to Florida State.
Wow, but you're such a big State fan now, just through law
because-
school.
Yeah, we won a
See, I
national
got my love of the
championship.
Gators.
I'm a
through
total
being
bandwagon guy, and Charlie Ward was there, and
So what about following the Billikens? Do you follow them at all when it comes to sports?
who's that? Yeah, I do.
You see?
I keep an eye on them,
You
but
see
I
how it
don't
is?
follow them.
See, it is.
Have they won
If
any
they're-
national
all right.
championships? That's all I'm going to say
All
about
right.
that.
I don't recall.
All right, close your eyes and imagine the day the St. Louis Billikens are playing Florida State Seminoles in the NCAA tournament. Who do you want to win? The Seminoles.
The
no
Noles.
question.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Noles. Yeah.
So how did you get to become a Billiken?
Oh my!
Did you choose that because you're like,
Wow, you want this convoluted tale?
Yeah, I
it's
do.
ready. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Okay, so
we got to be relatable to our
all right,
audience.
quickly. So in 1984, I began my freshman year at Tampa Jesuit, and I spent my first year and a half at Tampa Jesuit here in Tampa, and my dad got transferred to Pittsburgh, so we moved away in the middle of my sophomore year, and I
That must have been
finished
hard. A little bit.
Yeah, it was hard.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was on the football team, and we moved up to Pittsburgh, and I graduated from up there. But one of my buddies that I kept in close contact with here in Tampa was going to go to St. Louis University, and so I was going to go to St. Louis. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to go to St. Louis U. You want to go?" And I'm like, "I'm looking at all kinds of colleges, but
I'd
I'll
rather
look
hang
at
with
it."
a friend, though.
But I had applied at a couple different places. I was looking for mostly small Catholic universities, and so I went to St. Louis U. I actually enjoyed it, and the month before we left for college, my buddy backed out. Yeah, so I ended up going to St. Louis U alone, which is fine. I did great. I loved
Did you make
it. I loved
any
it.
friends there, Jason?
I have no friends.
Okay.
I have absolutely no friends.
You
You're
had to
my
go to
only
Florida
friend.
State to make
Serge.
friends.
Serge is my second friend.
Boom.
Boom! No, no, I have lots of friends, and I enjoyed St. Louis University. It was great out there, but my family ultimately moved back to Florida, and I came back to Florida. And long story short, my then girlfriend, then fiance, and now wife was from here, and that
Wow.
is why I am here.
Wow. So you owe everything to her.
Everything,
There you go.
Right.
everything, plus 7.
That's a shout out to you, Jill.
Yeah. She's not listening. She went to bed like 3 hours ago.
Are the kids still up though?
Oh yeah, they're still they're
Okay.
making all kinds of mayhem.
Okay, so your oldest your oldest is taking care of them right now.
No, Jill's up. She's probably
Okay,
listening.
okay.
I'm about to get slapped.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
Thanks. All thanks to you, Richard. Thank you.
Way to go.
All right. Well, I was a Gator fan since my I don't know. When I moved to Florida, I knew Gators were a big thing. When I moved to Florida in 1979, I was almost 17, just short of my 17th birthday. So I started watching the Gators almost immediately, and I wanted to go there. So it was natural. My brother went there straight from New York, so I just can't imagine. And I heard this the other day. I ran into somebody who said, I became a State fan because, and they were a Gator, because one of their children went to Florida State.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
And I went, holy crap, I can't imagine you even sending a kid to Florida State, let alone becoming a fan. Like I was like my mind was blown away by
Like,
it.
how
Really.
could you do such a thing?
No, but the funny thing is, I love when it comes to football.
But he
season,
wasn't.
I love.
But hold on, he wasn't an alumni.
No.
Okay, that's the big difference. I mean, if you're a Gator fan because you went to Walmart and bought a Gator shirt, then you're not really a fan.
No. He was a Florida person.
But he
I said
wasn't.
Florida
But he
grad.
wasn't an alumni. I just asked you.
No,
that.
no, I
You
know.
said no.
I got that wrong. He was a
Oh.
Florida grad.
He was
okay?
a Gator,
and his
he
children
became-
went to Florida State, and he became a State fan, and he's sort of like abandoned being a Gator. And I'm like, I can't even imagine that.
Fauci should go take his blood test and figure out how he avoided the
Something's wrong with him.
I'm telling you what's wrong.
Something's wrong.
So imagine, if you will,
Imagine, if you will.
one or more of your children become a Gator.
I will
Let's say
never-
they get a full scholarship to Florida, and it's a no-brainer to you because they get their full ride to Florida.
Did they build a house? That did they get rich? Did they have a place for me when I retire? Then I love the
called
Gators.
Conditional love,
Go
man.
Gators!
Children and conditional love. Okay, right.
Yeah, conditional my. No, I wouldn't. I still wouldn't root for them. I would be like, Spurrier sucks. But I would. No, I would love my child even more.
By the way, you can't see it on radio, but he's winking,
Can't
crossing his fingers
see
and
that
toes.
side of his face.
All right.
I've never crossed so many toes.
Serge, many thanks for you to opening up the airwaves
But
for
of
this new
course.
show.
But of course.
We would like to, at some point, I think soon, make this a call-in because that was my vision at first. So we have to kind of work on that. I would like to have other parents share their stories because that was my first inclination here. Was
I think be able to respond to those individuals.
Yeah, so we can just have
And by the way,
banter.
that's not to the exclusion of all those liberal parents who have conservative kids, because we'd love to talk to you too.
That's
and why
true.
you're wrong.
Yeah, that's
Really,
actually true.
We'll help you. We'll help you through it.
How did you end up with kids?
We'll help you. We'll help you too.
I don't
We
know.
help children,
I
parents,
don't know.
goats, puppies, cats, squirrels. We help them all.
Have you heard of any stories of liberal parents having conservative kids? I don't know of any really.
No,
I
they
don't.
did-
I don't
they did a
know any
great
liberal
job.
parents.
They did a great job.
We start off with, I don't associate with
I
liberal
know liberal parents
Right,
with socialist children, but I don't know any.
Yes. Not outing anyone in particular, but I have a great video clip. But maybe I'll have courage to share one day. I'll have to get his permission first because it is one of my son
Yeah.
who's saying that there's only two coherent worldviews. It's he that is a leftist, so leftists have a coherent worldview, and those to the right of him, called fascists, also have a coherent worldview, and then Republicans are delusional. So, well, again, that's what motivated this show, because I love him and respect him
There you go.
more than his politics. All right, everybody. Conservative parents with liberal kids.
Peace out.
Peace out. All right.
Let's drop a bomb on the liberals today. Let's drop a bomb and blow them all away. We don't need those crazy coops. We put up a fan too long.